All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Bianca, the Career Services Manager here at Learn, and I have a couple of awesome alumni here with me today. So, for anyone who doesn't know, will you two introduce yourselves?
I'm Sharmila. I graduated from Learn in September, and now I work at Donately, which is a startup in the area. Before Learn, I was a spa manager, and before that, I worked in fashion. So this was like a big career change for me. It's been great.
And I'm Bree, and I also graduated from Learn in September as well, and I also work at Donately with Sharmila. And before I started Learn, I was doing correctional outreach for the state of Colorado, so going out to prisons and talking to people about what they could do after they left prison, between going back to school, finding a job, finding housing, things like that. So definitely very different for me as well.
Awesome. So you both mentioned that you're new to the world of development, but came from really different backgrounds. How has the experience been so far being a full-time developer in these past few months?
It's been super interesting. I'm so glad that I did make the transition, and I feel like it's going really well. It's definitely been a big change and lots of challenges, but I really like the challenges, and it feels so good when you like accomplish something and like actually make a product that's out there in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel the exact same way as Sharmila. Like, at my old job, there were definitely down days where you didn't have a lot going on. I don't ever feel that way with coding. It's like always a new thing to learn, always a new challenge to take on, and yeah, it's been a really great experience for sure.
Awesome. And so, being new to the world of development, coming out of a boot camp, how do you feel like Learn Academy and the boot camp experience prepared you for this job?
I feel like I was prepared really well. The day at Learn is set up where they don't just like spoon feed you information. They present, like they teach you, and then you go out for the rest of the day and work on problems with a partner, like kind of at your own pace. You are encouraged to look for answers like on Stack Overflow and other resources on the internet, and I think not being like handheld so much really prepared me for what you have to do in real life at a job.
What do you think, Serena?
Really similar again to Sharmila. I feel like as we work together, we have a very similar experience, but I think the best thing too that Learn really taught me was working with so many different personality types and types of people. That's how coding goes. You work in different people's code all the time, and so it really gave me a good understanding to realize that there are people that do things differently than I do sometimes, and you can learn a lot from other people as well. I feel like Learn really fosters that environment.
Great. And so, you both interned at your current company while you were still kind of in the Learn Academy process. What was that transition like, going from Learn Academy student to Learn Academy intern, ultimately to being hired on there?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I think the biggest thing for us was we both felt a really big connection to the culture at Donately. Like, we're actually on a team right now that's only female developers, and that was something that
Incredible.
Yeah, it's so great, and it was something that was important to me, knowing that most women are actually a minority in the industry, being somewhere that I felt comfortable. So that was really cool. And then I think about like where we started the first day of our internship and where we are now, and it's incredible. Just the amount of growth. You know, of course, the first day is really awkward and uncomfortable, but now I feel comfortable talking to everybody and asking questions and just really getting into the code a lot more.
Yeah, and I think it was also like really helpful, and like we were so fortunate to be in the same Learn cohort and to get along so well. Like during Learn, we worked on projects a lot together, and then to transition to the internship and now working at Donately, we're still coding like very close together, and like we work well together and learn so much from each other, and I think that's really cool that it happened like that.
Yeah, and kind of to feed off of that, I remember you two pairing a lot, like when you were in the classroom. Are you still pair programming? Is that still part of your day-to-day?
Yeah, I would say for the most part we're still pair programming. We actually just had a conversation that they want us to sort of own our own apps at this point as well. But yeah, a lot of it is still very collaboration based for us. Yeah.
And I think even when we do separate, like, I know that she has a different perspective on code than I do, and like if I run into a problem, she's right there.
Yeah, definitely.
That's great. You have to support each other.
Yes.
So before we end, what advice would you give to someone thinking about becoming a web developer?
Just start looking for as much information as you can. There's so many resources out there, and just really take a good look at what's out there and decide if it is for you. Like, you can only decide that by like doing things, building things.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this morning that Learn was like such a big risk for me, but it was also like an investment in myself. And I feel like with any sort of other investment that you make, you know, you have to really do the research on it and make sure that's going to be the right decision for you at that time. And so I think that's the same thing with web development, you know. And with that being said, you know, if you do decide to make that investment, really like taking it seriously and always make sure that you have passion for it and keep it fun, because even like last week, we had a crazy week. We had crazy deadlines, we had a bunch of bugs in our code that we had to work through, but it was still so fun that I think it didn't upset either of us that we were in those situations.
So great. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for being here, answering all of our questions, sharing all your insights. That's all I have for you. Thanks.